This is the London Fatwa Council. This is another one of those Sharia courts. This one's up in Wembley in West London. Unfortunately, there's over 85 of these Sharia courts operating across the UK. It's quite outrageous, though, that an invading foreign religion sets up its own legal system to run parallel with the native British legal system.
That is what happens in a country when you allow illegal immigrants with values that do not align with Western values to take over your country with absolutely zero accountability. In many ways, London has fallen to radical Islam. And I want to be clear, we are not anti any religion on this show. This is not about being Muslim. This is about what happens when you let 85 Sharia law courts operate under their own laws, independently of the laws in the United Kingdom. Paul Golding is the leader of Britain First. Paul, appreciate you being here. Can you take us through how this is legal and why the British government doesn't step in and shut these down?
Your guess is as good as mine, but the most obvious reason is votes. Just like in America, but to an even greater degree, the ruling Labour Party that governs this country are extremely beholden to the Islamic bloc vote. And recently, when we had the 7th of October attack in Israel, the Labour government came out very strongly in support of Israel, and their Islamic voting bloc in the UK almost collapsed, almost melted away.
Okay. So
since then, they've been in overdrive to try and win all of those millions of Islamic votes back. So they basically, this has been going on for decades. I mean, Britain is being overrun and colonised by wave after wave of Islamic immigration. We're treated like second-class citizens compared to most Islamic populations in this country. They get preferential treatment. They get put to the front of the queue. They're allowed to build their own parallel legal systems. They're allowed to engage in things like barbaric halal slaughter. There's over 50,000 known Islamists on the terror watch list in this country. And if you speak out against that, if you say anything, then you're demonized by the media as a racist.
Demonized and called an Islamophobe, I'm sure. They do the same thing here.
And far right as well. We're always called
They
far right.
claim these are guidance centers, like counseling centers, Islamic guidance centers. The British government apparently did do an investigation on these councils. Here's the quote. Submissions to a 2018 Home Office report on the Muslim courts included testimony from women who said imams tried to force them to return to their husbands in cases of serious domestic violence. One woman said that a Sharia law council, quote, repeatedly refused to let her divorce her husband even after he attacked her while she was pregnant and attempted to throw her daughter out the window, end quote, meaning it sounds like these are operating as independent courts to me. Let me play, I know you were able to get inside one of these. I just want to play that video and then get your reaction. Take a look.
Are we okay to have a look at the Sharia court?
No, not really, because you need to leave.
This is where the judge would sit, and this is where disputing parties would sit.
They're recording.
It's just insane. How are these allowed to operate? I don't understand it. It's like two governments in one country.
Well, essentially what would happen if any politician tried to tackle this issue, they would be instantly demonized as an Islamophobe or far right or a racist. And basically the ruling Labour Party, they do whatever they can to try and, keep the Islamic bloc vote on their side. So they're allowed to do whatever they want, essentially. And they're growing in political power and assertiveness all across the United Kingdom. Right. We've seen so many areas across the country. If you look at areas like Birmingham, Luton, so many across the country. We've got an Islamic mayor in London. If you look at where Muslims live in Britain, and there's millions of them, there's so many places, towns and cities, which used to be English towns and cities, which just look like the Middle East now. Right. And so many of them are where the Labour Party is basically elected, and that's where they're incumbent, because the Muslims vote as a bloc for the governing Labour Party, like they would do in America. They'd vote for the Democrats. We have the same thing here.
I guess, Paul, when you look at, so again, this is not anti-Muslim, but when you look at the tenets of Sharia law, and these are Sharia law courts, there are more than 85 across The UK. Just a couple of the tenets. Theft is punishable by the amputation of the hands. Criticizing or denying any part of the Quran is punishable by death. Criticizing Mohammed, punishable by death. A Muslim who becomes a non-Muslim, punishable by death. A non-Muslim who marries a Muslim woman is punishable by death. Homosexuality, punishable by death. Look, I don't understand how any of that is compatible with the Church of England. Can you?
No, of course not. It's not compatible with long-held traditions of English law. And of course, even the legal system in America is based upon English law, which goes back over 1,000 years, Magna Carta, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And, you know, at the end of the day, Sharia law is barbaric. It's an alien ideological system which belongs in the Middle East, in places like Afghanistan or Iran and so on. It doesn't belong in a historic Christian nation like Britain is. But because they're becoming such a powerful voting bloc, and our equivalent of the Democrats in America bend over backwards to appease them at every twist and turn, they're basically allowed to do whatever they want, including building a parallel legal system.
Wow.
You know, and you can see the difference. They need their own legal system because Sharia law is so fundamentally different to English traditional historic law. The values, the core tenets are so different. And you've got, it's a clash of civilizations. You've got Western versus, you know, barbaric Middle Eastern law here.
I hope, Paul,
So
I hope the people of England are waking up to this. I hope they are. It's happening here. Again, it's not anti-Muslim, but you've got to have assimilation. And if you are a Western country like England, like we are, you've got to have a culture where things are congruent. And the tenets of Sharia law, I'm sorry, are not congruent with Western civilization. And that's bearing out in all of these Western countries, and nobody's doing anything about it. Paul Golding, appreciate you being here. Thank you. Keep us posted.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.